Our guest today is Radu Topliceanu. He is Mashreq's head of Neo and Personal Banking. He oversees the growth of digital banking, focusing on innovative digital propositions, supporting customer journeys, and strategic collaborations. With over 2 decades of retail banking experience, Radu is a digital banking pioneer, known for successful businesses modeling transformation. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast. You are our final guest and one of the interesting topics as well. So I'm very excited.
Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're most welcome. This is a very interesting topic because it has a lot of layers and it can affect so many different aspects of your life. But to begin, I'd love to know, what's your story? How did you become the lead of the Neo Personal Banking in Mashreq? How did that come about?
Well, that's an interesting journey. I'm a Romanian.
Okay.
So I started working as an engineer many years ago.
As an engineer?
Yes.
How did you end up here?
Well, it's a journey.
Okay.
My first job was to run a power plant. So I was running a shift of 100 workers, producing energy, thermal and electrical energy. Then I switched to telecom and I managed for a while a contact center, which was very interesting and educated me and transformed me into a customer-obsessed person. Because when you work in a contact center and you really take calls from the customer, then you understand how important is the customer for the business.
You're super close to the customer.
Exactly, and you understand their pain. You are becoming empathic, and you know that you have to solve for customers. And then 20-something years ago, I transitioned into banking, building a contact center into one of the biggest banks in Romania at that moment. Since then, I traveled to Austria, I traveled to Singapore, back to Romania, and now I ended up in Mashreq here.
Such a journey. Did you ever imagine you'd end up in this industry, in this kind of...
No, I mean,
really?
If I look back 30 years ago when I started working, I never imagined such a journey. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's always something surprising, something challenging, which is happening.
Incredible. The new generation is a very big part of any society, any culture. What are you most excited about the new generation and banking specifically? I feel like they've become more aware, right?
They are becoming aware, and I think they are a very interesting set of customers, because on one hand they are very connected and they spend a big part of their life they are spending on their mobile phone. It doesn't matter. I have a daughter, she's in the right target group, she's 15.
Yes.
So I can have first-hand experience. So for them, being connected all the time is extremely important. Being able to sort out whatever issue they have via the mobile is extremely important, and the relevance of the topic is again extremely important for them. They cannot be bothered with something which they're not interested in. They immediately switch.
And they're fast. They don't have the patience. I mean, even our generation, we've become so spoiled. We need everything fast. So they are a very moody and very quick customer. You need to catch them.
It's good you are telling me this. I thought it's just my daughter like
No, everybody. Yesterday we were talking about how many steps it takes for you to do one online transaction, and then you complain that it doesn't happen in 1 second.
Yeah.
It goes around the world in 1 second. You should be thanking, your lucky stars that it takes that short of it.
But this is because they are born being digital.
Exactly.
When my daughter was, I think, 2 years old, she was trying to switch the channels on our TV by sweeping, because she already had an iPad.
To her, this is how you switch. Yeah. This is how you switch.
They are not used with mouse, keyboard, and things like this.
I'm giving my age away, but I remember that lovely sound if you wanted to go on MSN Messenger back in the day, and then none of the telephones work at home. Like if someone's on the internet, you had to wait for a good 5 to 10 minutes for a connection. You had to listen to that lovely music to go on Messenger for half an hour or even 20 minutes if you're lucky, and then your mom yells at you that get off the phone, I want to speak to your auntie. I'm one of that generation.
I'm much older than you, so I started to program when I was in my first year in university.
Wow.
But I was using punch cards. I don't know if you know what they are.
Of course I know what that is.
So this is what technology was like 30 years ago. So
that's incredible.
When I'm trying to explain to my daughter about the punch cards and stuff like this, she had...
Yeah, I feel like the new generation doesn't realize everything comes from a tangible function. Everything. Why phones have a specific keypad? It's because that was the actual punch pad that you had back then. Why do people say pick up the phone?
Yeah.
It's because you used to take it from and I feel bad for the generation that doesn't understand when rewind the tape comes from the actual tape going back and rewinding. That's so cool. And also the last one, I have millions of these. Rolling down the window. No one, it's lost. But they are very savvy and they are very aware. And the bank has taken big steps in taking care of being inclusive. So that's my next question to you. Financial inclusivity is super important for Mashreq. So can you please tell us what are some of the steps that they've taken to have this kind of financial inclusivity in a well-rounded way? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think if you're looking at financial inclusiveness, it goes beyond the youth.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
That's what we are trying to do across multiple geographies. So, for example, just to give you a very clear example, we just launched Mashreq Neo in Egypt. And we are launching it to support, first of all, to support the financial inclusion in the country, because you are going with a process which is very much digitized. It's much more simple than any other process in the market. And our first goal there is to support the country and to support the financial inclusion. And from my perspective, financial inclusion has several dimensions. One is accessibility.
Absolutely.
And we are one of the best, if not the best. We are recognized by multiple awards as having the best digital journeys and the simplest one. Then is the set of products that you are offering. Products have to be simple, have to be intuitive, have to be able to be understood by a person without a financial education. And then, of course, is the rest of the let's say financial condition like accessibility, pricing, and all this sort of stuff. But we are looking from all this perspective, and we are coming with proposition both for adults and for children, which are making sure that they are brought into this financial system.
Makes a really big difference when you are arming a big chunk of the population that didn't have financial freedom. It really elevates the society. Yeah. And it starts in a very micro and then becomes macro, I believe, because you're helping people generate wealth, you're helping people get out of poverty, you're educating people on how to sustain their finances. So
that's exactly what we are saying in Mashreq. Rise every day. That's precisely this.
It
helps us, everybody, to reach their dreams and to elevate them. And we are doing this in UAE, but UAE is an advanced market. Yeah. But we are doing this in Egypt. We are going to do this in Pakistan, where we just obtained a digital banking licensing, building there the rails for Mashreq Neo. And this is a very big part, and it's something that we really believe in. Now, when we're talking about Mashreq inclusion, about financial inclusion, then kids are a very special category. And they are a category special and very dear to me for personal reasons. I said I have one teenager in the target market. But I really believe that kids or teenagers today needs to be financially educated. They need to understand what's the role of the money and what's the value of money. Yeah. They are not a segment which is valuable as from financial perspective for a bank. No bank is going to make money out of this segment. But we strongly believe that it deserves to be educated, and it deserves to be helped to understand how money works and to be prepared for the future life.
Because you're planting a seed, and this individual who grew up understanding what banking is and being educated and literate in banking will grow up to be someone that will be a beneficial a client for the bank for sure.
Yeah, but this is a side effect. I think it's more important that this person is becoming a financially responsible person.
For themselves, yeah.
For themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they will be a client of a bank or a financial institution.
But it helps when you are a responsible person, you become a responsible banker. It helps also the stability in general, right?
Absolutely.
All throughout, we forget how powerful the individual is, but we are an important part and segment. Speaking of power, technology has such a powerful, let's say, ability to build bridges and to break barriers and to help bridge a lot of gaps, especially in technology. And I'm sure your daughter loves technology. I love technology too. So can you elaborate and explain to us what has technology been as a driving force or a tool to help bridge some of the gaps?
Yeah, you are right. It's more, for me at least, it's more a tool than a scope by itself. We are not doing technology for the sake of technology. Technology is an enabler. Yeah. And it helps, first of all, to bring the finance, to bring the money close to people. As I told you, I born in Romania and I used to live in the communist time. And there was no financial education at this time. There was just a state-owned bank, that's it. There was no insurance, no lending, no nothing, you know. And then when we moved into the 90s, post the communist era, also technology came there. So suddenly the whole society moved from a Stone Age, if you want, into the computer age, and then into the mobile.
A big leap.
It's a huge leap, and that was very much powered and empowered by technology. Again, technology was not a goal by itself, but it's a tool. It's a tool which helped the people to have access to finance. And again, in my country, at least, this went hand in hand with education, because people need to understand what is a bank, what are the products, how you can benefit of them, and this sort of thing. So this is what we are trying to do also in Mashreq. This is the reason why it's so dear to me.
And it's clear. You can see in how they handle every time there's an evolution. You can clearly see it in the technological advances that they do. You can clearly see it. Speaking of that, what do you think is the most significant, let's say, advance that has happened? What do you think, in your opinion, was the turning point in digital, or let's say digital banking? What do you think has been the turning point in digital?
That's the turning point. The appearance of the smartphone.
All of us. It's part of our life.
How it went from branches, then to contact center. People start calling a number, trying to obtain some information, even doing some transaction. Then it went to the phone, like a feature phone, and you were supposed to know how to write an SMS, where to put the dot, where to put the comma, and whatever. And then the smartphone appeared.
Absolutely.
And suddenly you had a computer in your hand. And the power of these devices, that it's all the time with you, and this also supported the embedding of the finance into whatever you are doing.
Yeah, so it's become digital wallet and like phone and like watch paying by. It's no longer having the actual tangible thing.
Yeah, because even when you are having the internet banking, let's say, which was a big step, and I haven't mentioned it earlier, it was a big step, but still you had to
2005, I think.
I was building the first internet banking in Romania in 2003.
Wow,
together with the first mobile banking in Romania. Okay. They were completely different animals as they are today, but this was the starting point. But still, at that moment, you need to be somewhere in front of a computer, in your office, at home, whatever. Some people had home computers, some people didn't. But since the smartphone appears and they started to penetrate all levels of society, everybody has access to this, and it's become part of their life. And it also helped very much to embed the finance into whatever you're doing, through payments, through buy now, pay later, through a lot of other things which are not directly seen as a banking activity. They are a mean to reach a goal. You want to buy something and to use it. A banking service. You want to buy a house, that's your goal, and then you are using a banking service, so on and so forth. So I think the appearance of the smartphone was the turning point.
Game changer.
It was, and it was also coming the right time, because there are several laws which are describing the evolution of the technology. The most famous one is Moore law, which says that once in 2 years the computing power. The computing power is doubling once in 2 years.
Can you say the name of the law?
Moore's law.
Moore's law.
Moore.
Okay, Moore. And what is it?
It says that once in 2 years, the computing power, it's doubling.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, and it's happening, and that means that the power that we are having in these devices, it's increasing very, very fast.
It is.
Probably is going to go even faster with the development of quantum computing, but that's a bit in the future. But in such a device, you are having more computing power that the Apollo mission had in all their computers. It's
insane when you think about it this way.
And this is making the apps much more powerful and much faster. And then there is the evolution of the data capability, data transmission. So you can pass much more information between the app and the server. There is the increasing in the ability to store the data, so you can use more data in order to personalize interaction with the customer. So I think the mobile phone, in this environment in which everything around data it's increasing, was the turning point for us.
Absolutely, I agree with you. It really has empowered, and you no longer need many of the other tools that you used to have in your life before. Like you needed to go to the bank more for smaller things. You needed to buy stuff. You had to go to the store. Now it's all through your phone. So it really changed the game in so many different levels. You speak about your daughter fondly, mashallah, and I would love to know what would you say is her generation's challenge? Every generation has a challenge. So what would you say is her generation's challenge, and how does that differ from the previous generation's challenges?
I'll be happy if it would be just one challenge.
Let's say the top 3 challenges, because it's a very challenging generation.
Yeah. I think the first one and the biggest one from my perspective, it's their ability to focus and to stay on one topic, because they are so much exposed to
fast
information.
and changing moods.
Yeah, but this comes because they are having access to so much information, and there is such an assault on them in terms of information being provided via phones, via laptops, via everything around them is communicating with them and giving them information. So it's very difficult for them to stay focused. And it's very difficult for you, in our case with Neonext, to keep their attention. You have to be very creative to keep their attention.
Absolutely.
That's one thing. Another one, which is a beautiful challenge to have, is to understand how their future would look like. When I was her age or a little bit older, the future was very clear. I was supposed to go to university, I'll become an engineer, I will work in a power plant. The things were very, very clear. If I don't want to be an engineer, I will be a doctor, I will work in a hospital. So the directions were very clear. Today, nobody knows how their future of work is going to look like.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty convinced it's going to be gig-based, so they're going to work on various projects, whatever it's interesting them. But how the name of the job is going to be and what the content of the job is going to be, nobody knows. And I think it's very difficult when you are at this age and you're trying to think what you want to become, because the future is going to be so different.
I totally agree. Growing up, the standard jobs were very obvious. Like the basic jobs were very obvious. It was either medical field or banking or law or school. They were pretty much, there were some gray areas, specific, like an engineer for C tubes. Like they were, but it was still in engineering. But I feel like the last decade, the last generation, new jobs that didn't exist came up.
I've been in the fintech, in the Singapore Fintech Festival a couple of years ago when I was living there. And I was exchanging business cards with people there. And I received one. If I recall correctly, the title of the job was Professor of Cyber Civilization. And I was looking at this, what is this cyber civilization?
Professor of cyber civilization.
Yeah, this was like 5 years ago.
That was a job, and that's a job, and that can be a job. And now you have a lot of these online trading and online.
This is yesterday. Online training and everything. That's yesterday.
I feel so old, but you know what I mean. Like there are social media individuals and. What was the other one? The very, very...
there are people which are making a living as influencers.
Influencers and like the Bitcoin gurus, like these, very fascinating. So they are a very versatile group and they are a very unique consumer. So can you share with us what is Mashreq doing to kind of like better understand their needs and better have let's say, educated guess on expectations for this generation? Because you really, like you said, you really don't know where they're going.
Yeah, we are looking from two perspectives, because what we are doing with Neonext, it's creating a dialogue between parents and kids about money. And it's a difficult dialogue to have. In many cultures, it's not normal for a parent to talk with the kids about money. It's a difficult conversation to have. So we're trying to build this bridge. So on one hand, we are trying to understand the needs of the parents. And of course, this is around security, to make sure that whatever their kids are doing via the mobile banking app, it's safe. And it's about control, to understand when the money are going and all this sort of stuff. And then if you are looking at the kids, are the things that you were discussing earlier, to be fast, to be simple, to capture your attention, to gamify and things like this. So in order to gather their insights. We are even doing some co-creation together with kids. We had a group of kids from one school. We took them through the app. We asked about their feedback. We saw where we can improve the journey, what they will expect to come from the app, what sort of information they want to have there. And we are using this as an input. And the whole development that we are doing is based on this. Yeah. Well, it's called co-creation. It's nobody using anybody.
No,
it's just
you're using their insights to solve problems that you wouldn't see.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because us...
In a good way, using the good way. Like,
right. Then I can agree.
Using in a good way. Like learning, maybe using is not a good word. You're learning from them, from the eyes of the person who's going to consume this product.
Exactly.
So when you ask a question for our generation and our era, it won't be answered the same way as your daughter's generation and her era. So you got them in so that
we have them insights. We're using their insights and we are building something which is useful with them. Then you are having the data points because you are looking in the app and you are looking which functionalities are most used. We try to understand, looking at how the journeys are used, where are the pain points, and then we are coming and we are improving there. I will give you an example. If you want to open a new Next account, you have to do it as a parent. You have to be already a Mashreq customer, of course, and then you are going through an onboarding journey for your kid. And we realize there are a lot of parents which don't have the time to go through the whole journey, or they are information that were already there in the system, so there is no reason to re-ask them. And we cut the journey down to 7 steps. So right now, if you're having a kid, and you want to open, you are a Mashreq customer, you want to open a new Next account for your kid, it's just 7 steps, 7 clicks that you are doing in the app, and the account it's open. So all these sort of things, we are using data to tell us exactly where we have to improve the app.
That's a great example of what effort Mashreq is doing in giving the new generation financial literacy. It's a great example because you're empowering them to learn more. You're giving the family, you're giving the parents a tool to help teach their children how to grow up with financial literacy. That's a fantastic way to teach them, to show them, not just say, right? Yeah. You show by example, and you don't just say, do this, do that. And I think that's what's important with the new generation. It's not just, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, here's the tool, here's how you use it, and so on.
And these are the benefits.
And that's the benefits of it, because I feel like the new generation, even us a little bit, we are more practical. We like to see things. We're not just, we read it in a textbook and do. We see it happening. That's why we like videos. Yeah. You see it, and then you're like, yeah, that's
a very good point.
That's what I want to do.
What we are trying to do also is to provide content to the kids which is attractive to them. So we are doing webinars on various topics on financial education, and the pickup is quite good, quite a lot of participants. We partnered with Visa, and we are providing financial education content in the form of a cartoon. Series.
Interesting, yeah. I would like that.
A lot of things which are relevant and are talking on the right language. Yeah. We have created in the app challenges, for example. So
they love games. I like things.
They love games, and these are games where they are rewarded. So, for example, my daughter had a goal in her app to train for her martial arts a number of times per week.
What did she do?
She was trying to learn Krav Maga.
Oh. Amazing. I like her already. Krav Maga. That's awesome.
Look, it's a very, in my humble view, it's a very practical thing. It's not so much about form, it's about result.
Self-defense.
To self-defense herself. So whenever she trained the number of times that she wanted in 1 week, she was receiving a financial reward from my side.
I love that.
She can, any kid can create goals, for example. She loves to read. So she's creating a goal to buy a book. And some books might be quite expensive. So she's created a goal there. She's saving from the money that I'm giving her. She's saving something towards this goal. And again, this is something very, very nice. There is also a feature for kids to ask money from their parents. And I would say it's the most used feature in the app.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but that's good because it can trigger a conversation between the kid and the parent. Why do you need the money?
Yeah.
And then you have the chance to have a conversation to explain how to use the money, how to be responsible, and all these sort of things.
And maybe it would teach them how to earn it before earning it for their own.
That's exactly the example I was giving earlier with the training. The way that she can earn some money.
Very nice. How do you measure the success of this? Like, I'm so curious to know. You can see it as it being popular, but do you have tangible or examples of how this actual initiative has been successful?
Yeah, we are looking at the number of users and we are looking at how the app is used. And the part that I really like is that the app is extremely used by the kids. So whenever a kid is opening, the parent is opening the account for the kid, then if I'm looking at the times when the app is open, if I'm looking at the times that the card is used, because they're also giving a card to the kids, it's very intense usage. So kids are really
So
using
they are interested in it.
this. Yeah, they are interested. And of course, because they are having a card and they are doing a lot of spend on the card, we can see which are the categories they are interested in.
You can even know what is it being used for.
Yeah, and then we can stimulate the usage and we can encourage them to use more in the categories that they are interested. So if I'm seeing that a lot of kids are spending on Amazon, for example, then I can provide them vouchers. I can give them value exactly on Amazon where they are spending. So it's
Where the interest is.
a very good spiral that is happening there.
Really interesting. We can't talk about the new generation without talking about AI. We can't. It's I think this generation's let's say this generation's baby. Like our generation, I think it was the internet for us. I think it was because we transitioned from not being internet connected to internet for us. But for this generation, it's definitely AI. So what are your thoughts on this? How do you see AI having a role and in the digital, especially in the digital world, in the field of banking? How do you see that playing out?
I think first of all, it's not something which will happen in the future. It's something which
happening.
is with us today.
Yeah.
There is a theory that at some moment we are going to reach a thing which is called singularity, in the moment where technology evolves so much that starts to surpass the ability of people to understand and to master it. I think we are very close to it. Would be very, very important how we're making sure that whatever you are building in AI, it's built on very solid ethical grounds.
Yeah.
Because AI is having a lot of risk, being biased, can be used in very malicious ways, whatever. But I'm very confident that it's going to help and to empower, let's say, the people tomorrow. I see the future as being, if I can use the term, co-piloted by AI. We are already using it, for example, in Mashreq.
I don't mind co-piloting as long as they're not driving the car. Like, I don't mind co-piloting. But as long as they're not fully... I mean, I've watched a lot of science fiction, and I don't want Skynet to come up, if you know what that is, my geeky side. Co-piloting is okay, but I think it needs guardrails. It needs some
absolutely.
guardrails.
I think it's very important to have the guardrails and to have the ethical side being covered. This being said, and within the right frame, co-piloting could be a marvelous thing. We're already using it in Mashreq, for example. Whenever I'm writing an email, I have a co-pilot, an AI co-pilot, which is helping me to write it faster.
I heard about this. I want this in my life.
Look, you can have a call on Teams, and then you are having the AI generating the call summary.
That's so good.
And it's amazing. It's a very strong tool. In Mashreq, we are at the forefront of using it, and it's very useful. I'm looking again at my daughter example. She's using ChatGPT, and she's using it. Me too, but she's still a child.
That's amazing.
And I really like the way that she's using it, because you can use it in a very mechanical way.
What is she using it for, though? She can't use it for school.
I can give you an example. We've been in a holiday in Sweden, and she used it to build our itinerary.
That's so cool. I have to meet your daughter. That's so cool.
That's absolutely fine.
She built the itinerary with ChatGPT. So smart girl.
And it was a great itinerary. Yeah. Actually, we had a lot of fun.
Lovely. You mentioned the dark side of this technology and how we need to have guardrails for it. How is the bank handling this? How is the bank handling the rapid change in this landscape? What are the cultural, let's say, tools or cultural guidelines that they're following to help keep this, like we said, ethical and very much safe?
I think Mashreq is a very special organization. As I said, I worked in various parts of the world in various organizations. Mashreq is unique. and it's unique in the agile way that it's working. Agile, it's a word which is very much used and with various meaning in various organizations. I saw organization in which one morning somebody told to a product manager, you are a product owner starting with today, and good luck being agile.
Wow.
Mashreq is completely different. I think Agile, it's a way of living in Mashreq. Yes. The way that we are organized, business is working together with engineers, so we can develop together things, we can build the things together. And this is because of the Mashreq DNA, if you want. We are a bank and we are paying all the attention to the right things like governance, risk management, and everything because it's in our structure, it's in our DNA. But on the other hand, it's very entrepreneurial, almost like a fintech.
Yeah.
So the combination of the two, brings the uniqueness of.
I think it's a good balance.
Of Mashreq. It's a very good balance. Yeah. So this helps us also when we are using the AI more and more because everybody has an understanding of what we are building. We are not living in separate worlds where the business have an idea and then the engineers will do something. No. Because if you are living in such a separation, of course the outcome might be not the right one. Yeah. We are working together, business and engineers, and we are trying to use the AI as much as possible to create the right outcome to the customer. Today, banking, it's all about personalization. You want to engage the customer, you want to have a personalization or hyper personalization to the customer to give to each of the customers exactly what the customer wants and needs. In order to do this, you need to have the data, and we are having a very solid foundation in terms of data structure, data accessibility, and everything. And then you need to have the tools. And all the tools for personalization, in the end, are AI.
Personalization is really important. I think it also differentiates competitors in the market. Like how much you can make the individual feel personalized and feel special, because pretty much in the end, you're offering the same kind of service, but how much can you make the person special? That's what I would guess is one of the most important advices I would give, but then again, I'm not a specialist. You are. So my question to you as a specialist, with someone who has such an amazing, diverse career, different careers, what advice would you give financial institutes to improve this, to make digital banking more streamlined and more personal? What's your best advice for them?
Find the real problem a customer have. Don't try to build something which is not answering a real concern for the customer. You have to find a thing which is really important for the customer and to address this one. And you have to address it being empathic. You need to put yourself in your customer's shoes and understand exactly what's the pain point for the customer. Again, I will use the example of Mashreq. It's the most customer-obsessed organization I ever worked in. We are having a group CEO, maybe I'm saying a secret, we are having a group CEO, which is part of our customer journey reviews. He's wearing all the time the hat of the customer, and he's extremely passionate to look from the customer angle. And this starts from him, goes through all the leadership function, to the management, and to all the teams. Everybody is obsessed about customer, and everybody try to look from the customer perspective.
It's the most, I think, it's the most sensitive part of the experience, because if you lose a customer in terms of service, then that customer will automatically be an upset customer. It would be difficult. So it's very nuanced. Like how happy the customer is very nuanced. I know it's one of the oldest things to say the customer should be happy, but especially in banking, because you're already sensitive about it. And you know, my last question to you is a bit of a curveball. You remember the papers you said that you used to do the coding on? Do you remember? Let's say you can code anything in the world, okay? And it would happen. Anything. You can code any program, anything in the world. What would you code for your daughter? What program or what's a gift that you would gift your daughter in the form of a program? What would it be? What would it solve?
I wouldn't give her a gift in the terms of a program or anything. I think it's better to give her a book, because I think reading a book, it's much more...
I love that.
It's much more stronger than using a program.
I love that.
And if there is anything that I'm really happy she took from me, it's the passion for books.
you can clearly see the pride in your eyes, and I hope Allah yakhlilaki, as we say in Arabic. She's a great example of the new generation, a great teacher for you to learn about the new generation. This has been so insightful. I really do hope the next generation takes advantage of all of the effort, not just in banking, all of the effort the new generation is putting in to educate them and teach them. Because without the new generation, I feel like we're going to get lost. And they are a little bit lost in terms of where they're going, but they have so much potential.
And they are so much more connected to technology than we are. For them, technology is native.
Yeah.
For us, it's a learned thing. For them, it's native.
I still feel shocked about some of the things we can do, but for them, it's so second nature. And I choose to be hopeful. I hope that the new generation will take it and go beyond what we imagined, but it needs a lot of work. So thank you for your passion, and thank you for having this twinkle in your eye when you talk about your daughter. She's a great example of what the new generation can be like.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is mine.